Welcome to Math 316. This is trigonometry for the summer 1 session. My name is Stacy Keene and I want to take just a few minutes of your time to explain to you how the course is laid out, show you some important aspects I'd like to highlight, and then kind of guide you along in how you can be mindful of time management in this rather packed course. So as we begin, you'll notice that here on the home page is going to be the announcements. It's my habit to send out one or two announcements per week during the summer session to kind of let you know what you should be trying to accomplish during the week and to try to help you keep on task um, and on track. Now, this is a really fast course, of course. We are covering 7 chapters worth of material in 35 days. So you should expect to cover anywhere between 1 to 2 chapters per week in order to stay on task. But we'll go over that calendar and how you can handle that, how I've laid it out for you in just a moment. What I want to make sure that you understand is, again, that I send an announcement out every once or twice a week. So make sure that you're either checking in on the announcements page here in the course, or that you have those announcements sent directly to your notifications. Over here, what else is on this page would be my contact information, as well as a direct link for my office hours. Virtual office hours are going to be the only office hours that I provide during the summer, but you're welcome to meet me during those office hours. If those times don't work, then you can try to see if there's other times that we could work together on. And you can also reach me by email. There's a link down here at the bottom of the page on the first page here that's going to be a direct link to get us into the My Math Lab portion of the course. And I also have a link getting us in there here in the banner. So let's go to the content section of the course. And you're already here because you're watching the video, but I want to kind of go over with you a couple of things here for the documents. In the syllabus, you'll you'll see that we have my office hours again are listed in here, but we also have the information about the textbook. So the My Math Lab access code is what you're going to need to purchase. You can purchase that either directly from the bookstore or directly from the Pearson website. You're also going to need to make sure that you have um, a couple of additional supplies. That would be a reliable internet, hence the reason this is an online class, right? You're going to need to make sure that you have a computer that has a camera on it. So that can either be built in, like a laptop or a tablet, or possibly an externally connected webcam, because both the midterm and the final exams are proctored. You're also going to want to make sure that you have a graphing calculator. I typically use the 84 graphing calculator, the TI-84 graphing calculator in most of my videos. Sometimes I'll utilize the online Desmos graphing calculator. Either one of those would be acceptable. And I'll speak a little bit more about the Desmos graphing calculator in a moment. Now, what we've got here is the components for how the course is graded and all the kind of things that would go into the makeup of the course. For each lesson that I cover, you should expect to have homework over that lesson. Your homework can be, it's in My Math Lab, and that homework can be attempted an unlimited amount of times. So in theory, even if you get the question wrong, you can work a similar question until you get that question right. So you should be able to, if you wanted to, you could make a 100 on all of your homework assignments. Understand here, and you can see that I've highlighted this, that I do actually have a minimum score on your homework that I'd like you to meet. That would be a 70 or above, and that's the prerequisite in order to be able to access the quizzes. Now, there are 2 activities that we have during the summer session here. One is going to be over the unit circle, and another is going to be over polar graphing. Both of these activities and their due dates are listed on the weekly calendar, and so you're going to want to make sure that you pay attention to that. And just like it says here, I don't curve or replace any of your midterm or your final exams. So you kind of want to consider the activity as, maybe even the curve part of the course. So you want to make sure you're completing those in a timely manner and that you do them to the best of your ability. Then we have quizzes. So there are 4 chapter quizzes during the semester here, and you get 2 attempts on each quiz. So by that, I want you to understand that you want to take advantage of both of those attempts. So even if you score really well, let's say you maybe made an 85 or something like that on your quiz, and you're pretty happy with it, you might want to make sure that or you might want to see if maybe you can score even better because, like I said before, I don't drop or replace your exam. So you're trying to get as much of a padding as you, if you will, for the midterms, for the final and the midterm. And that kind of comes from the homework, the quizzes, and the activities. You'll notice here that again, I have a minimum score for your quizzes in order to be able to take the midterm and the final, and that's going to be a minimum score of a 60. So you have to score a 60 or above on all of the quizzes in order to take the midterm and the final. I have one quiz here. This is the quiz over um, identities, and that's a really pretty tough section. And so I even lowered that to 50, right? You just have to make a 50 on that quiz to be able to take the midterm and the final. Okay, so your midterm and final each count for 20% of your total grade, which comes to 40% of the overall score for the class. They are again proctored online through your webcam and any internet connected computer. You only get 1 attempt at each of these exams, and I don't drop or replace them. One thing to understand about the proctoring process is the proctoring service that we use doesn't actually work on Chromebooks, unfortunately. And so if you're using a Chromebook, or if you don't have a camera for your computer, then we actually have locations on the MCC campus where you can come and you can sit down and you can test there on campus. We also even have some webcams as well as some laptops that you can check out. You would have to stay there on campus, but you can check them out and you can take the exam through those. So, if that is an option for you in this online environment to be able to come up here to MCC here in Waco to use the services at the locally, then that's an option for you. And if you aren't able to come here because you don't live in the surrounding area, you want to make sure that you are planning now for some alternative to be able to use a friend's computer or a relative's computer when you are when it's time to take both the midterm and the final. So the way the course is set up is all of the assignments are open at the very beginning, so on May 31st, and all of the assignments close on July 5th. There are a few hard and fast um, deadlines within that 5 week period, but other than that, there really isn't any need for late work, and I don't give any late work, so I don't allow for that. Attendance policy. Um, so with a summer class, especially when we're trying to cover as much content as possible in this rather abbreviated time, in a traditional face-to-face class, you would be meeting for 2 hours a day, 4 days a week, plus any time outside of class. And generally, that would make it about a 16-hour per week devotion to the course. So even though this is an online class, you still need to be prepared to spend about that much time at a minimum in order to successfully complete the class. If you've never had trig before, or if it's been a really long time since you have even had an algebra-based math class, you could probably expect that to be a time commitment of more than 16 hours possibly. But you want to make sure that you are allowing for that um, so that you can kind of work the time management into whatever else is going on. So, having said that, I do have an attendance policy in the course. The attendance is based on your participation in the class, activity participation. So, that means that any activity, such as working on the homework, quizzes, or exams, counts as participation. I run a report every Tuesday to determine activity in the course. So, any week where you have not worked any problems in either of those assignments is counted as an absence. And since we only have 5 weeks in the class, you only get 1 week of inactivity before you get dropped. Okay, so let's move from the course syllabus. Of course, you can read through the other material, read over all of this again if you'd like, but I want to come to the calendar. The calendar I would encourage you to print out so that you can um, kind of have a snapshot of what all is going on. And here we are on week number 1. Notice that for week number 1, you have 2 chapters to complete and take a quiz in order to stay on track for the course. This is pretty doable in a face-to-face class. We can cover this much material rather quickly, but it's going to take the commitment to be able to watch the lecture videos and do the assignments over them. Then you'll notice that I have a project here at the beginning of the second week. I'd like for you to work on that project before you enter into chapter 3, as it'll make this section here on the unit circle much more understandable. So you have a project and you have 2 more chapters to complete during the second week. Completing both of those weeks worth of material, or all 4 of those chapters, is going to lead us to the midterm. So here on the midterm, you'll notice that the midterm is going to be covering the first 4 chapters of the course, and it is due on Wednesday, June 15th. Make sure that you are completing all the assignments to the minimum requirements and pacing yourself so that you can complete the midterm on time. After that, you'll see that we kind of slow down a little bit for these middle 2 weeks here. That's because the chapter on identities, it's kind of in depth, and it's kind of a sticking point sometimes for students. And then this chapter on equations is just so important as you move forward in your math, whether that's moving on to calculus or whether that's going off to a physics class that needed trig for a prerequisite or whatever. It's real important. And then you'll see here the last week of the course, we cover again 2 chapters, but it's not 2 full chapters, and it kind of is starting to wind down by that time. And you'll notice you have another project due during that last week. So I would encourage you to print this out and make sure that although I would just make sure that you have printed out and that you understand when the due dates are for each of these firm dates and what is going to be required leading up to those due dates. The next document I want to show you has to do with the course ID for our MyMathLab portion of the class. So the MyMathLab portion of the class is where the textbook is at. It's also where all of the online assignments, such as the homework, quizzes, and tests, are located. So in this document here, you'll find information on how to register for the course. If you've never used MyMathLab before, then you're going to have to create an account as a first-time user. If you've used Pearson before, then you probably already have an account, and you'll just be asked to enroll in the course using the course ID that you see here in the middle of the screen. Now you do have temporary access for 14 days to the course. So if for whatever reason you can't purchase the full course on day 1 when you're listening to this video, you can still gain temporary access so that you don't fall behind. Because as we saw just a moment ago on that calendar, you don't want to fall behind in this class. Just make sure that after the 14 days you have that you upgrade the account to pay for it in full. So going back here to the content section, I want to talk for just a second about the graphing calculator. So we're kind of familiar with our TI calculator, and if you don't have a graphing calculator of your own, then that's fine. I have two other possibilities here. One is what we call the Wabbit emulator. It's pretty neat if you want to have something like that on your phone. I think you can put it on your computers as well, but I don't allow cell phones for the midterm and the final exam. So the other option is probably going to be the Desmos calculator. I've made a link directly to this calculator available in both the midterm and the final exams, so you should have access to this once you're there. Sometimes I use this calculator when I'm in my lectures, and so let me just, if you've never used it before, let me kind of show you really quickly what you've got. Here would be the graphing portion of it. So let's say I wanted to graph, I don't know, a cubic function, I mean a quadratic function, y is equal to 3x squared. So I can use my keyboard, type in the function here, and it shows up here. It's pretty user friendly. If you're familiar with any type of graphing calculator, I can move it around, scroll in and out, and I can do all sorts of adjustments. Other than it being a graphing calculator, it's also a calculator. So if, for example, I want to um, multiply, I don't know, 3 times 6, you'll see that I get an answer here. If I want to multiply, or maybe I want to add 1/2 plus 2/3, you'll see the decimal equivalent show up here, which I can then change to be a fraction here. It's a wonderful tool. It's completely free, and it's available also in an app for you to put on your cell phones if you decide, but I am making the link available within the exams for you to have if you don't already have a graphing calculator. Okay, so let's go over how do you learn this material. So for each of the chapters, I have videos for each of the sections. So in this first section on trigonometric functions, you'll see there are 4 sections that we're going to cover. And if I just click on the first section over angles, you'll notice that I have a series of videos here. I can scroll down and you'll see the videos that are located here. And I also have um, a set of blank notes that are going to have all of these problems contained in the notes for you to be able to print out and fill in as you watch the videos. So depending on how much content is covered in each of these sections will kind of um, depend on how many videos I end up making for the section. I've tried to reduce the time and make the videos somewhat shorter, so it kind of depends on. I have videos that range anywhere from maybe a couple of minutes because I don't have a whole lot to say on that particular topic, all the way up to maybe a 20-minute video for a particular example because it's rather in depth in trying to explain. So, what you're being asked to do, and the best way to approach the course, is to treat each of these video lectures just as you would coming in lieu of coming to the class. So, instead of coming face to face, for the 2 hours, 4 days a week, you would be sitting down, you would be watching the lecture videos, taking the notes, and from there, once you've done that, then you're going to be prepared to go on and work the homework. So here, like I said, is a link to the My Math Lab portion of the class. And when I click that link, I'll be asked to sign in. And once you sign in, you'll select the course. So here is our trigonometry course. And when I open that course up, we have an error, but not always. Okay, so I had to reopen the My Math Lab course in a different browser. Sometimes that happens. I don't really know why it happens, but if you are having any errors trying to open the My Math Lab portion of the course, my suggestion is to first clear your history, and second would be to try a different browser. Um, I was actually using a different browser, but my tried and true, it always tends to work for Pearson is Google Chrome. So if you're using anything other than Google Chrome and it's not working for you, my suggestion is to try it in Google Chrome before you um, give up on it. Okay, So this is the landing spot for the course in the Pearson in my math lab. This is again where the textbook is located at. This is a traditional type textbook where it's divided up into chapters, of course. The textbook is really a great resource for you, however, and so I do want to take just a second to show you what the textbook looks like. It's it's more interactive. It's not just a PDF copy of the textbook. And so there are some components contained within this ebook that you might find helpful as far as a resource is concerned. So you can navigate the textbook just like you are, familiar with. You have a table of contents over here. I can page left and right here down in the corner. And then this is truly what the textbook looks like if you had a hard copy sitting in front of you with this text here inside. Some of the things that make it a little more interactive, however, are these links here. So this is a video over this particular section that is the publisher's video. This is not my video. It's the publisher's video, and you could click this link and you could watch a video if you wanted to know some more information about the section. If you'll notice down here in this example that we're looking at the bottom of the page, I've got a so here is the example that you would see in the textbook, and then here is a link for you to try that exact same example on your own using the MyMathLab platform. This is what the question would look like here in the MyMathLab portion. And it would give you the right answer. And then here is this link here would be the video explaining this example. So just understand that the textbook is a superb resource for you. So if you feel like maybe you didn't get enough examples, let's say in the lecture, then the second resource for you to be able to use would be coming through the textbook. So let's talk for a moment about the homework and the assignments. Here is the link that's going to get us into all of the homework assignments. So I'm just going to click on the first link here. Notice that you've got due dates that are shown, time limits that are shown, as well as the number of attempts. If I click on this first homework set here and click any of the problems, it's going to pull up the assignments here in another screen. So in the syllabus, I was explaining that you have an unlimited number of attempts at each of these problems. And let me show you what that means if you don't already know. So here I have a question on the left-hand side of the screen asking me to find a coterminal angle with 552. So I'm just going to put some random value in here. Nope, that's not right. Let's try a different value. Let's try 32. Nope, that's not right. You'll notice I'm now on my third attempt here to see if I can come up with a coterminal answer, and it says no, that's not correct. The correct answer is 192. You answered 41. I now have the choice of just moving on and leaving that question incorrect, or I can do a similar question. So here it has regenerated the coterminal angle I'm looking for, and I now have 3 more attempts to get this question right. This is a great resource. Um, to try and keep working problems that maybe you're just not mastering yet. So that's how you can get a 100 feasibly on the problems. Now you'll notice I didn't do the similar problem, so I did get that question wrong. The other thing that I want to show you here in the My Math Lab portion is the grade book. So the grade book is going to show up here. You'll notice that I only worked I only worked one problem and I did get it wrong. And so it kind of keeps a running total of your score until a due date is given. So you'll find your grade in the class will be found here in the grade book. And so you should always know what you have in the class. So that's the My Math Lab portion. There's other links in here, such as the tools for success and the skills for success, that I would encourage you to scroll through, but I'll let you do that on your own. So that brings us back here to the home page of our Brightspace course. So remember, announcements are going to come out about once or twice a week to help you stay on track. It's super important that you're working on this class. Um, at least the minimum number of hours. Again, it's a lot of content to cover. A lot of people aren't familiar with the with trigonometry to this in as a whole class. You may have seen it in a pre-cal class previously, and then some people just haven't ever seen it before. So you need to approach it with the understanding that it could take a little bit of time. So announcements are going to come here. Your lecture videos are found under the content section, and you're going to want to watch the lecture videos, take notes over the videos, and then try the homework. All of the online assignments are found here in my math lab. If you get stuck on anything, please feel free to email me and ask any questions. Typically, I can answer the question either through the email, and if it's too hard to explain that way, I'll generally just make a real quick video and send it to you that way. But in order for me to have enough time to respond to your questions, you need to make sure you're emailing me in enough time. I don't answer emails over the weekend, so I will answer you Monday through Friday. And so you want to keep that in mind as well. I encourage you to reach out to me with any questions that you have, and good luck with the semester.